I'm joined now by Democratic Governor Wes Moore of Maryland. Great to see you this morning, Governor. You had been a very strong supporter of Joe Biden staying in the race just a few days after that disastrous debate, saying he is not going to take himself out of the race, nor should he. Did your concerns grow as the weeks went on?
Well, you know, I had private conversations with the president, and I'm a big believer that when you care about somebody, you tell them the truth. And I had private conversations where I was telling the president the truth. I also know that the president deserved better than people running around and going into public and demanding that the president of the United States step down, particularly when you look at the track record of the Biden-Harris administration. I've had a phenomenal partner in the Biden-Harris administration to be able to deliver the kind of results that we needed in Maryland. And so I knew that if he said that he was going to continue pushing forward, that I was going to stand with him.
But you said you told him the truth. What was the truth?
Well, I think the truth that there were real concerns. There were real concerns that I know that people had felt, but also that people were telling me that they had felt. I also know that, I'm a loyalty person. And I believe that you can have proper conversations and tell people the truth and be able to tell them what you're hearing without also then turning around and publicly then trying to embarrass them.
Okay, Governor, but you have a whole new race now. Yep. You saw those numbers, those poll numbers with Harris. The most crucial, perhaps, is the number of independent voters. Favorability rising from 28% to 44%. Pretty good news for you.
I think it's great news because I think what it's showing is the more people get to know the vice president, the more people are excited about her vision for the future. You know, she has been such a remarkable partner inside of the work. I think about it in our own state, where in just the past 18 months, we've been able to go from 43rd in unemployment to now having amongst the lowest unemployment rate in the entire country. We've been able to have in the state of Maryland some of the fastest drops in violent crime in the entire country. The last time the homicide rate was this low in Baltimore City, I wasn't born yet. But I know we're able to do all of these things in partnership with the Biden-Harris administration. So it's exciting to see these groups who are mobilized, groups who are excited, because the more they learn about Vice President Harris, the more excited people get.
But you know this was a week where she hit the road, where she was with Benjamin Netanyahu. She raised $200 million at least and is going. But you also know she never really gained traction in 2020, dropping out even before the Iowa caucus. Do you think now that people think she's been underestimated, or are you concerned looking back?
I think what people are saying now is we can finally have a conversation about the choice that people have in this election. That people see that it's not just that democracy is on the line. It's also the fact that basic values of how we think about economic freedoms are on the line. The ability to create pathways for work and wages and wealth are on the line. And embrace of Project 2025, or actually embrace of a prosperous future, is on the line. And
but that's nothing gives you pause when you look back and know she dropped out early. That wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, but I also know it was pretty long ago. Before that, since then, we've had an entire administration that people have had a chance to see her work. Throughout that time, we've had an entire period where people can see where we have historically low unemployment rates throughout our country. I think people are now seeing what a Harris leadership can look like and what it can bring to the future of the country.
We're getting an early look at how Republicans are responding to her, Donald Trump as well, of course, and how to define her. Trump attacked her as a radical extremist. And I want you to take a look at this clip by Republican Pennsylvania Senate candidate Dave McCormick.
Nonpartisan GovTrack has rated you as the most liberal senator.
I am prepared to get rid of the filibuster to pass a Green New Deal.
We're not going to treat people who are undocumented and cross the border as criminals. That's correct.
It is wrong-headed thinking to think that the only way you're going to get communities to be safe is to put more police officers on the street.
So how does she defend against that kind of attack from Republicans, using her own words?
I think she needs to continue putting together her vision for the future. I think that, when you look at how she approaches things like public safety, first of all, it's remarkably disingenuous to call someone who is a prosecutor for her entire career someone who is soft on crime, or someone who believed in defund the police. She's never believed in defund the police. I think when you look at, for example, what we've done in our state, where we've been able to make historic investments in local law enforcement, historic investments in prosecutors and our U.S. Attorney's Office, and at the same time make historic investments in community groups. The thing is, when you look at having an all-of-the-above approach when it comes to public safety, it drives the kind of results that people are looking for, and that's exactly the kind of vision the vice president has.
You have heard other quite harsh attacks on Harris. Some lawmakers accusing her of being a DEI pick, diversity, equity, inclusion. I was interested because you said when you chose your lieutenant governor, you did not check a box.
Correct.
Did President Biden open her up to this kind of criticism when he announced, even before he chose her as VP, that he would prefer a person of color and would choose a woman?
I think the president chose someone he believed was going to be his best partner, and someone who is brilliant, and someone who is prepared. You know, I remember when people said that to me when I chose Aruna Miller, who became the first immigrant in the history of the state of Maryland when statewide elected office. And people said to me, "You're making a big mistake." And I said to them, in fact, she said that to me. And I remember I would say to people, listen, I'm picking the person who I want to be my partner. I'm not going through an exercise of trying to figure out what this person can get me. And frankly, if a person was not going to vote for me because I selected a woman of color as my running mate, they were never going to vote for me in the first place.
Voters consistently rank immigration as one of the most important issues. Kamala Harris has been criticized a lot about the border. I know things are improving, but she has a record that even some Democrats did not like.
Yeah, I mean, we do have a border crisis, and I want to be clear about that, and it's impacting all of our states. And frankly, as a chief executive, the problem is that there is no governor that controls immigration policy. We then just suffer the consequences of it. But I do know that this administration, the Biden-Harris administration, actually worked with both Democrats and Republicans to get a deal done, that could increase the amount of Border Patrol agents that we have, that would have actually helped to curtail the amount of fentanyl that's coming into the country. This was a deal that was helped negotiated by Senator Lankford from Oklahoma, a real conservative, and it was killed because Donald Trump felt that it would hurt him electorally. So there's a lack of seriousness and frankly, a lack of transparency that we continue to see, where people are blaming a Biden-Harris administration on this issue when we actually had a bipartisan deal that was killed.
I just want to ask you finally, you've said you are not interested in being Vice President Harris's vice presidential pick. What do you think is important when she looks at a candidate? Swing state, a red state governor?
Yeah, I've been very flattered by the level of interest, and I absolutely love my job, and I want to continue doing my job. I think the thing that she needs to look for most is the person that gives her a sense of comfort that this is going to be my partner in the work. I do not think that she needs to go through an exercise of being able to find what boxes to check or what part of the country. The truth is that if you look at recent history, that has not been the case in recent history. The last time that's actually even factored in was maybe 1960. So she's got to pick someone who she knows is going to be her partner inside the work, and I think that is the only gating criteria that she should focus on.
Thanks so much, Governor Moore. Great to see you this morning.
Thank you.